Boom, and we're off. Shoot, you know how when you started recording and you know exactly what you were gonna say, and then your mind goes blank? That's exactly what just happened.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
all right, whatever. So yeah, we did have a cool intro for this, and the first time we did this around, and now it's the second time, and I'm like dumbfounded on where to start. I guess we just skip right to the intro. I'm Chris, and I'm a co-founder of Gents of Lancaster.
And I'm Alex, and I'm also a co-founder of Gents of Lancaster, and this is way overdue.
Yeah, it really is. I'm glad we're doing it because it's been like I can't remember the first time that we actually talked about doing a podcast together, and then I think a long time ago, like the interview started, and then we just never really got around to actually doing something like this, which is a long time coming, like a year and a half coming for sure. But yeah, so I guess, damn it, man, we had like the perfect intro in the last one.
It happened so naturally just because, we had been talking about being a dad, and then
yeah,
it just
we had to everybody listening, I'm so sorry for this hard intro. We had such natural banter in the last episode that got messed up because our anchor recording drops at like 2 minutes in. But yeah, basically what brings us here is that we've Alex and I have been fortuitous enough to both recently become dads, and with the strangest possible timing is a good way to describe it. Because so I guess the way it happened, I'll go in because I think that my story is a little less intense than the one that you have. But basically, became a dad on December 21st of 2019, which was awesome because it was an like year to the day, the 1 year anniversary for my wife and I. And as that happened, like I distinctly remember, it was a couple weeks before everything with the coronavirus kind of exploded. And I remember that really vividly because at the time my dad was supposed to come visit my son when he was in the intensive care unit, the neonatal intensive care unit. And he said that he couldn't because he was sick with something that felt a lot like the flu and he didn't want to risk it. And then as time went on, he kept talking about what he was feeling, and he kept saying, like, it felt like the flu, but like I was so winded. He had trouble like walking up and down stairs because he would lose his breath, and if he said that the lightest movement felt like it just took everything out of him, which we now know to be a common symptom of the coronavirus, which is a terrifying thing to think that my dad and my mom later might have had it, and that it was right around the exact time that he could have just waltzed right into a neonatal intensive care unit at the very beginning of when all this stuff was happening. So we were lucky enough, though. I mean, Alex, you came over a lot and saw my son Sam like right at the beginning. We all got to hang out and have like some family time and stuff like that. And we had a relatively normal beginning to what is like the whole family coming around a newborn in a family and stuff like that. And it was really cool. And then lockdown happened, and then all of that changed. And it's been basically just running in isolation, which has not been terrible. Certainly missing things like grandparent interactions and uncle interactions and stuff like that, but on the whole it's not weird. But then again, I have nothing to compare it to, so it could be completely weird for an environment to raise a kid in this much isolation and in this much quarantine, but I really don't know. But yeah, I kind of wanted to go through that quickly because I think that your story is way more intense and like, overall fascinating for everything that happened with you guys.
Yeah, man, it was unforgettable, I guess is the word to use, because we didn't know what was going to happen,
Yeah.
Because, my wife was due May 14th, I believe, and, March 30th came around and the doctors had a different plan, I guess. And, so we went into a typical, routine checkup. I wasn't even allowed to go in for that checkup because they had closed off everything at that point. Right. So I was out in my car and I just had the radio on, and I didn't even realize that I had turned off the car. So the battery in my car died at this time, by the way. So on top of everything else that I'm about to tell you, my car battery died. So that was awesome.
I didn't know that part. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
That sucks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So as if
Oh,
everything else wasn't bad enough, my car battery died, and I had to have my parents come jump my car, which they're not allowed to be within 6 feet of you. So that was quite an interesting feat in and of itself. But my dad's a superhero, so he figured out how to get a new battery in
amen.
the car.
Amen.
Um, but anywho, so at that appointment, they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna hold on to your wife, and you can't be in here for the next whatever it is." And it ended up being 2 days where
Jesus.
I was just, preparing the house because we didn't know what was going to happen. And, I remember Nicole texted me saying, "So I'm giving birth in 2 days." And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And so I got kind of thrown into, getting prepared for everything because we didn't even prepare bags for the hospital.
Right. Well, you were going for a checkup. Like, who prepares a go bag for
Right.
a checkup? I mean, you guys, and that's another thing. Like, to reiterate, like the due date was May 14th, and this was March 30th. That's really early. Like,
Right.
that's super early. I mean, even non-coronavirus standards. I mean, that's really early.
But I mean, it was crazy. And Nicole's amazing. That's all.
Yeah,
That's the moral of this story, is that my wife is incredible.
she's pretty damn tough. Yeah, that's for sure.
So yeah, I don't even know. So then, that Wednesday they finally let me in. Um, and I got to go in, and things moved pretty quickly from there. We got pushed back because somebody else had something more important happen, I guess. So they got earlier operation time. Uh, but it was just incredible. I'll never forget waiting to be allowed into the delivery room. That was definitely the hardest 15 minutes of my life.
Oh my God,
Whew.
I believe it.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, man, but I'll never, I was shaking the whole time, just waiting just for them to call, like, "Yeah, you can come in."
Yeah, no,
Um,
I remember that really well because so so yeah, like I was saying, like our experience wasn't quite as intense, but we went in, we had a date scheduled to induce labor, and we went in there, gave it a shot. It just really wasn't happening, and then we started spending our first night in the hospital, and our doctor, who, by the way, shout out to Dr. Andre Martini of Women's and Baby Hospital in Lancaster. He's amazing. He came in at 2:30 in the morning and woke us up and said that we had to. He didn't say it, but he gave us the information that would lead us to conclude that a C-section. Because no, and like I totally respect him for that, because he didn't come in and say like we need to do a C-section. He goes, "Here's the situation," and he explained like Michelle was having contractions, but at the same time she was having contractions, Sam's heartbeat was dropping like dramatically. So which is a bummer because you have to have contractions to have a baby. So
right.
so the problem was like, and that's the way that they presented it to us. And looking back on it now, I can't believe it took us this long to come to the conclusion. But Michelle and I sat there looking at each other like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And then it hit us. We're like, Dr. Martini's in full surgical scrubs right now, and they're clean. He's so, if you ever see a doctor in clean surgical scrubs, like they're ready. Like
Right.
stuff's gonna happen. So we went forward with the C-section, and they wheeled her into the OR to prep and everything at about 3:00. And I swear it took hours. It was probably like 5 minutes that I was standing in the hallway waiting for them to come get me. And yeah, I just remember like staring at a concrete wall, like tapping my foot, and like my phone flipping seconds over at the slowest I've ever seen it happen before. It was just bananas slow.
Well, and the one thing I do remember is the one doctor came over to me and he said, there's a chance because he's so early that he won't cry when he first comes out. And I remember thinking like, wow, like trying to like wrap my brain around that. And then, he was born and he cried the second they pulled him out. And it was just a huge sigh of relief, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Your baby's a trooper. Like that,
Yeah.
to be 6 weeks early and then to come out and then defy expectations like that off the bat. That's a pretty rousing start to a life.
Well, and 24 days is how long we ended up spending in the NICU. And
Jesus.
to people who spend longer, like, and that's honestly a small stay compared to what I've seen online,
Yeah.
I consider us really lucky. And I believe that they put even more stringent, like requirements for people to come visit their child in the NICU now. I think it's only one parent a day. And it's like, Nicole and I were each other's rock during that time.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine not being able to be there.
I can't imagine 24 days having your first child in the NICU. That's unbelievable. Because so Sam had to be in the NICU, and he was in there for 4 days, and that was the same 4 days that Michelle had to spend in the hospital anyway because she was healing from a C-section, and we were stressed out of our minds. To multiply that by 6, and then to also have to because you guys drove back and forth every single day, what was it, 3 times a day or something like that too, to see him?
No, we actually ended up staying there all day long. So we were
Oh, okay.
there for 8 hours a day.
Jeez.
Yeah, and we'd get up in the morning and we'd hop over there to get there for the 8 o'clock feeding. And to a lot of people, it's like, oh man, will you go 8 hours a day? We didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, right.
And, it was really cool because we had the opportunity to be together with him.
Right.
And I honestly think that he progressed as fast as he did because we got to go be with him.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
I'll never forget when we were still in the hospital and I was the only one who was able to go see him because Nicole was still recovering,
Right.
So I would go and I get to go see him. And I just remember him every time I went to go see him, something else came off. And it was the coolest thing. Like the people that work in the NICU are just, they're amazing. And that word amazing falls so short. They're miracle workers. They really are.
Yeah. I think a good illustration of that is, so we had the benefit, I guess a benefit of the time that Sam was in the NICU was right before Christmas and during Hanukkah. So when we got to go see Sam in the NICU, we understood how amazing these nurses and doctors are because people who had kids in that NICU sent them Christmas cards. And
Yeah.
imagine sending the nurse who looked after your kid a thank you, first of all, a thank you card, and second of all, a Christmas card. Because some of these kids in these pictures were definitely 7, 8 years old at this point, and there was not a baby in the photo, which meant that these families had just been sending Christmas cards to these nurses and doctors year after year after year after year. And we're probably going to do it too because
oh yeah, we absolutely are.
They're unbelievable. And yeah, that feeling like something else coming off. I mean, I remember seeing the first picture of Grayson that you guys sent out, and it was he had, I can't remember, he had a number of wires and tubes hooked up. I know some of them were just measurement instruments, so they weren't invasive or anything like that. But he was hooked up pretty good at when he
Oh yeah, I mean, he had your typical he had the IV going.
Yeah.
He had a feeding tube. He had a CPAP. He had it all. But again, he progressed so quickly. We were really fortunate that, he was just a fighter when he first came out.
Yeah, it's like he couldn't wait to get started because
I will say the other thing, sorry to interrupt you, but the other
No.
crazy thing is how incredibly fast those people work. We left the operating room and we got over to the NICU and it was routine for them. They're like, okay, and we're going to hook this up, this. We're going to take an X-ray here. We're going to do this. He looks all right. We're going to get him on this, and this. All right, he's stable. All right, we'll check back in with you in 4 hours. It'll be fine. I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the most intense moment of your life, and they're talking because to them it is every day. It is the routine because they do it every single day. But to hear someone just be able to be like, yeah, and this is the thing that's gonna help keep them alive, and then this is the thing that's gonna tell us if we need to pay special attention and stuff. It's I gotta go see that kid. So I mean, you guys let me know if you need anything, and then they leave for 4 hours, and it's crazy.
Right. Well, and we had to monitor Nicole's blood pressure. And
that's right.
The first night she was home, it was still pretty high. And we checked mine just to check it.
Mm-hmm.
My blood pressure had gone through the roof just because of everything that had been going on. I was like, it was insane. It really was.
Yeah. Well, how couldn't it? I mean, it's even hard to imagine being able to sleep for 24 days in a row when you have all of that going on.
And we didn't. There was.
Oh, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it I'm trying to think. It concluded really well for Grayson because I mean, he was born, he was, how light was he again when he was born?
3 pounds, 10 ounces.
Yeah, which is, that's a small baby.
Right.
And he like 24 days he kicked it to being like completely self-sustaining and eating on his own and everything. Like
Yeah. I think it
it
was 4 pounds, 6 ounces when we left. And
wild.
now he's over 6. He's
Oh,
6
really? That's
pounds.
awesome.
Yeah, he's 6 pounds, like 6 ounces last we checked.
He's almost doubled his birth weight. That's nuts.
And that was 2 weeks ago. So I think that he's probably pushing 8.
That's freaking awesome.
So
He's gonna
I
be
don't want
like,
to jinx that, but
he's gonna be all chunky with like sausage fingers and everything before you know it. It's gonna be awesome.
that's the dream. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But and
Um,
I'll tell you what, like getting to be home with him, like just being in that NICU, you appreciate it, getting
yeah,
to, even though everything is all crazy right now, like just getting to spend time as a family at home. And like we've recently been able to start going for walks, which is just the best,
nice.
you know?
Yeah, that is definitely like one of the I like the strange things that's like helped us keep our sanity, especially as lockdown has continued, is like it's amazing how a simple thing like a walk can completely clear your head and make everything
Oh
better.
my gosh. Yeah.
It's nuts. um but yeah, so like with all of that though, I mean, we're still kind of, I guess, relatively in the thick of coronavirus. Our county commissioners disagree with the governor, who disagrees with the president. I'm not really sure what is going on, to tell you the truth. So
Yeah.
um but so like, have like, what's your experience been like with getting extended family around?
What, as far as just having people see him, or as
Yeah, I
far
mean, like,
as,
because I think like I
I
think back
mean,
to, like, I remember like having a relationship, well, as much as I could. My grandparents passed away when I was relatively young, so I didn't have like an adult relationship with them, but I did have, like, I knew them and I knew their names and I have vague memories of them from when I was little. And I was thinking like, the we saw them as often as we could, even though they lived so far away, because it was just like, grandparents were a part of the life and stuff like that. And now with coronavirus and lockdown and uh, just every precaution. Like, I know that the first thing that kind of went out the window, at least for Michelle, Sam, and I, was just how much we got to see extended family. You and Nicole included, as like Sam was here. So, I know that we absolutely like slowed everything with grandparents
oh yeah, yeah,
interacting with them, to
it's
the point
it's
where it's
been
like,
it's been hard.
yeah, and it's, which is it like weird, because it I don't know about you, but I always hear people saying things like, I'm thankful for what I have during times like this. And it's like, yeah, that's absolutely true. It's like, man, that's a piece that's feels like it's kind of missing from,
Family, yeah, man.
yeah. And because it's like, it's such a perfect opportunity for them to meet their grandparents when they're this tiny and this small and this fun. But
Right. And it sucks because honestly, the doctors in the NICU told us, 4 to 6 weeks, even if there was no, horrible sickness going around. And
right.
then they said with that compounded, they said just not even foreseeable future. They said just
Right.
very limited contact. And it's been tough. It really has. And it means that we can't go anywhere. It means that we can't have people over. And it is what it is,
Right.
I'm thankful that technology has boomed. That's another thing like I wanted to address while we were like on this together. Like
Oh yeah.
the fact that technology has it's a double-edged sword, because being on technology too much is awful.
Right.
But at the same time, this was necessary to push technology a little bit further.
Yeah.
Speaking as a teacher here for a second, it this was a piece that we were missing.
Right.
Being able to connect with our students online. And I know this is like a complete different tangent from what we're talking about, but
No, go
like,
for it.
I think it's impressive
Yeah.
that in 3 months time, it's forced everybody to become competent online.
I didn't think about that before, but that's got to be true. Like, people who have never really paid much attention to their computers before now have to be able to competently jump on Zoom calls. Well, everything's a Zoom call now, but
Right.
any like virtual chat conference or anything like that, like you're right. It is finally pushing technology forward, especially in industries that are like historically technology resistant, I guess.
Well, and the cool thing is it's enabled me to still teach, you know.
Yeah,
Through
that's
all
amazing.
this, I kept working because, you know, I was able to reach out to students. It just, I had to get back to them. But that's the beauty of asynchronous learning, is that, you know, I was literally in the hospital for 4 or 5 days and then the NICU for 24 days, but I could still interact and post things for them to do. And they did.
Yeah,
A lot of kids participated. It was really great.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that makes an interesting point too, because like I this is completely off topic, but oh well. But I always remember, like, you know, there's like kids, the old adage of like kids don't like school, because I think back, like I didn't like school when I was in elementary, middle, and high school, but the fact that kids can go home and not be in a classroom and get virtual assignments and stuff like that, and then complete them out of their own volition, whether that volition is like a sense of responsibility or because of their actual interest in it, that's kind of amazing. I mean, it's proof that kids are like thirsty for an education at that age. It's
Oh
really
yeah.
incredible.
And the other thing is that, you know, kids do appreciate their education. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, we give kids so much grief, but they are surviving this. You know, they are the ones who are dealing with the worst of it.
Right.
And they're going to come out of this, you know, with a lot of trauma. And
Yeah.
it's going to be uh, our job to kind of help rebuild them, you know.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you know, for our generation, the defining moment was, at least of our formative years, you know, it is 9/11,
Right.
and because it just completely reshaped the world that we were in and things like that. This generation, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is going to be, you know, the coronavirus. Remember when everything shut down for 3 months and I like couldn't see my best friend for who knows how long, because we're still in it.
Right.
So yeah, but especially when, you know, social interaction is so vital to kids at that age as well, like face-to-face social interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. um yeah, I guess in a way that makes me thankful that like Grayson and Sam are so young at a moment like this.
Right.
Like,
They're not going to
it almost
remember
feels
it.
like a benefit that they're probably not going to have a memory. Well, they're definitely they're like they're not even 6 months old. They're definitely not going to have a memory of this, but it's like it's almost like a hidden blessing a little bit.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, you know. And the other thing that was nice about having the time at home, even though it's not nice, is that I was able to get the house set up, you know. The
Yeah,
house was in good order so that we were able to bring him home and he was able to feel at home right away.
right,
I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have that time.
right. And that's like, I feel like that has to be the most underrated part of becoming a parent, is that material environment preparation. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I didn't think of it at all. That was 100% Michelle thought ahead with all of that stuff. And then when I saw how much work she put into it, because I was just kind of like, I just have a really hard time placing myself in a future state when I'm not familiar with what that environment looks like. So I was basically useless. And she was like, we need to get this, and this. And I was like, you got it. Like and like I was useless when it came to actually brainstorming. And when I saw all the stuff that she had put together, it was bananas how thorough she was, because there have to be details for everything. Like certain things have to be in multiple places throughout the house, because otherwise you have to like sprint downstairs and that's not safe and stuff like that. And it's amazing all of the different things that you have to do. Like when we put together the first time dad essentials kit, I mean, that stuff was like real. Like I don't know about you, but that stuff like
Yeah.
saved my ass so many times. And it's just products. Like
Yep. Yeah. And the other fun thing that you can't really prepare to be a dad. There's no like, oh, I'm just going to watch a whole bunch of videos and learn how to be a dad. You learn on the job, you know. That's just, and you think about it. You think, am I ready? Am I going to be able to handle this? And then it's kind of thrust upon you and you don't really
yeah,
you know, sink or swim, man. Sink or swim. And it's been an awesome journey so far, you know.
yeah,
I
it
wouldn't
is.
trade it for anything.
And that's the wildest part, is that it's the most important job you'll ever do. There's no preparation for it in terms of like what you can expect from it. And especially because like every kid is different. And then it's like the most fun, rewarding thing to ever happen at the same time. It's a very, it's such a strange mix of awesome stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I think back to the NICU days, and even though it was definitely the toughest thing that Nicole and I have ever had to deal with,
Mm.
I mean, we also had the benefit of learning how to parent from people who do it professionally.
That's pretty awesome.
Like, I remember learning to change the diaper for the first time.
Mhm.
And now I wish that his diapers looked like that. Because I can tell you they don't
Yeah.
look like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That, oof. Yeah. The diaper changes, they are real.
I mean, another hard thing was that I wasn't able to, like, I'm a musician, obviously, trumpets and guitars. Obviously, you are too. Not getting to do that kind of stuff, like play to him in the
Right.
NICU was like pretty tough. But we sang to him when we were there, and we read to him. We took books, and
That's awesome.
it was really a cool bonding experience.
Yeah. So how is things, I guess how have things changed now that he's home and you guys are, getting into what is close to being like that family without that intense medical intervention and stuff.
I mean, when we first brought him home, it was like everything was craziness.
Yeah.
Got to get everything done. I hope he's okay. Like, check on him. Check, 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 check. And I don't know. It just becomes like things are going to be fine. Um, I like our routine. I'm very much a routine person. Like,
Yeah.
so in the morning I get up with him, and it's a chance for Nicole to have like a couple of hours to herself and sleep. And he and I hang out. Usually he gets to sleep another 2 hours, and I work on schoolwork, or I'm going to teach a summer camp online this
Oh,
year.
nice.
So I'm working on prepping for that, and it's just a downtime before the day begins.
Right.
And he's very much like 3 hours. Everything's 3 hours, and feeding every 3 hours, changing every 3 hours, and
Yeah.
eventually he'll break that. But for now, it's just kind of maintaining that. And the nights are tough because he doesn't
And
sleep all the time. But
yeah.
it is what it is. And
Yeah.
it's
And
it's fun. It is.
yeah. And it's nuts because that is such a, like, the sleeping part is by far like the hardest part, at least for me, to even just kind of like wrap my brain around, because when the kid's hungry, it's pretty easy. You put a bottle in front of them and then the problem goes away. And if they're like if they're scared or something like that, you just kind of hold them for a little bit until they settle down and everything's fine. If they can't sleep, it which I think I hear a baby in the background.
You
Uh,
do. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
if they can't sleep, it's like, where do I start? By the way, I'm looking on my baby monitor. Sam also stirring right now. So things,
There's something happening there. I'm
little,
just saying it. They know. They know.
yeah. There's some cousin interactivity. I guess we should say our children are cousins.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Guess that would be helpful.
Hey folks, you have to pay attention to the whole thing in order to find out. So
Yeah, yeah.
there you go.
Um, but yeah, that's funny.
How is it having a 5-month-old / older than a 5-month-old now?
It's pretty fun. Like I think it took like, I'm really bad at talking tonight. So I think it took me a while to really start to get into appreciating what was going on, because the developmental phases go by so quickly, especially in the first couple of months of a kid's life. And I didn't realize that. So it took me until about like probably close to like 10 or 12 weeks to realize that I really had to start appreciating every single moment we had, even when I was just trying to get him to go back to sleep in the middle of the night, which was every night. Um, and after I did that, I became much more aware of like what it meant to enjoy yourself as a dad, uh, with the time that you have with your kid, because those phases never happen again, and some of them are as short as like 3 days or something like that. And
Yeah.
so like in a really weird way, I miss when Sam was like 8 weeks old and I had to get up at midnight and like hold him, and I would just go downstairs and like lay on the couch and like prop him up so that he couldn't roll and stuff like that, and then just like wait for him to stop crying, and I'd be like, oh, perfect, and then I pick him up and put him back in his pack and play in our room to try to get him to go back to sleep and stuff like that. And sometimes I put him down and he starts screaming right away again, and other times he actually fell asleep. But like I weirdly miss that time. So now that I have like those things that I miss, like I'm starting to have so much more fun with him, especially because developmentally now he can laugh, he smiles, he coos, he's screaming for no reason.
He's no longer, as we affectionately refer to it, as a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, he's no longer a potato. Yeah, exactly. He is a fully functional, fully sentient, tiny potato man. And,
he looks great, man. He looks great.
Oh yeah, thank you. He's so much fun now, and like Michelle and I, when he was younger and he went to bed, Michelle and I would go in bed and we would lie down and be like, "Thank God he's asleep." And now we put him to bed, and we put him to bed around like 7 every night, and by 8 o'clock we're like looking through our pictures and videos that we have of him and being like, "Oh, remember this?" And it was like yesterday, and it's just because we miss him and we can't wait to hang out with him again. Which could also, I don't know if that's a symptom of the coronavirus quarantine or something like that, the fact that we are like super attached to him. I hope every parent is super attached to their kid, but like I do think that sometimes we're going to be like, oh, how are we ever going to back away from this? We're going to be hover parents if we're not careful. So, like,
I mean, it does make you like, this is getting to have this time with him as a dad is rare. You know, I can't, I'm so thankful to have that time with him, because you don't get it back, you know?
Right. And like when we, I know that just, you know, the father role models that I have in my life, and just thinking about like my dad, your dad, our father-in-law, you know, other dads of friends that I have, I always think back to the thing that I heard from all of them say, which is just like, I wish I would have spent more time with my kid, like when they were younger. And that really stuck with me, because if you hear it from one person, you're just like, oh, maybe you work too much. If you hear it from 2 people, you're like, that's a fun coincidence. And you hear it from like 10, and it's like, I should probably prioritize this, because this sounds like a lifelong regret that a lot of these people have, is that they didn't spend that time at the beginning, which I guess goes back to what you're saying about technology, because without it, we'd either be out of the job, or we'd have jobs where we wouldn't be able to spend as much time at home with the kids, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. It's been a journey, you know. And I'll tell you, it's fun that the trumpet is in the background, because I've played trumpet twice since Grayson was born. Twice, yeah. And I miss it for sure, but it's been kind of a welcome break, you know. It's you know, being in the band that I'm in, you know, we're busy a lot of the time, and I wasn't sure how I was going to balance / juggle that kind of life. And it's in a weird way, it was decided for me, you know. And I'm thankful that things worked out the way they did, because it you know, it was easy to see what you were just saying, how you need to take advantage of that time.
Right. And yeah, I guess that bears mentioning. I mean, you used to play trumpet and you played gigs all the time. Like,
yeah, those are a thing of the past right now.
Yeah. but I mean, like, so when you say though that you went to like playing twice since Grayson was born, I mean, that's huge, because you used to play like 3 to 4 times a week.
And just to be clear, when I say I played twice, it was for like 15 minutes, and it was with a mute in so that I didn't distract our neighbors. So it wasn't really anything. It was just a chance to pick up the horn to make sure that I still understood how to make a sound on it.
Right.
Because I'm going to be teaching lessons over the summer online. I want to make sure that things still work.
That sounds like an absolute trip to do music lessons online.
Well, and that's why I wanted to upgrade all of my like audio stuff. I wanted to make sure the microphone worked. I wanted to make sure that, you know, the video is high quality, so that, you know, my students can see what's going on, and I can hopefully hear and see them. And That's tough because like students aren't going to go out and spend money on a microphone right now, you know.
Right. Right.
And
Especially one that actually sounds decent. Like Yetis are awesome, and comparatively they're pretty low cost, but they're still, $100.
right.
So
But it's the way that we're headed.
yeah, it's true. Which is kind of exciting. I mean, hopefully that means that like all of the stuff becomes cheaper,
Right.
but who knows?
You know darn well it's probably going to be the opposite though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so he's yeah, so Grayson is, I'm just realizing now, is 16 days past his due date today
Yep.
at the time that we're recording, which makes him, sorry, almost exactly 2 months old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his due date was 2 weeks ago, which is bananas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But so like looking forward to 2 months, like what are you looking forward to, especially as the
So
confusion and everything for coronavirus continues and he's just growing.
we are excited because he started to show signs of smiling a little bit.
That's awesome.
So that's like our next big thing that we're looking forward to is him. He crosses his eyes when he's trying to focus. I don't know if Sam went through the eye crossing thing,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's the cutest thing, and he knows who we are. Like he very clearly knows who we are, and he can
Right.
focus on us. And we make an effort to play with him a lot,
Right.
and tummy time and playing on the mat with him, even though he's a potato and he just lays there, and sometimes he just looks around. It's still like developmentally crucial.
Right.
And every
Right.
day he gets a little bit stronger. My favorite is tummy time because I always feel like he's going to headbutt me and like knock my face off.
Yeah. That happened. That happened to me yesterday. Sam whipped his head back and nailed me right in my front teeth. I can't believe I still have my front teeth like bashed me in the face. But yeah, the danger is real. But yeah, I mean that's awesome. Like it's so cool, like you were saying, especially because you're a teacher and you're going into the summer anyway, when you would normally be able to stay home longer and stuff like that. Like you're still able to do that through, I guess, when school comes back for you. Like he's going to be about 6 months.
Right. Yeah. I've had all that time at home with him.
Yeah, that's like unreal. That's so
And
cool.
I feel good that I'm able to help out too. Cause like, I can't imagine, Nicole and I said this the other day, like, can you imagine being a single parent? Like,
Oh my God. Yeah. When someone says like, I'm a single parent and then lists any number of children, all the respect to them, because holy crap, man, I can't imagine doing this by myself.
No.
Yeah.
And it's a team, we're very much a team.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'll have moments where we get overwhelmed or we get frustrated, and we just remind ourselves, we've never done this before, and it's going to be cool, and we're going to be cool, and it's going to be fine. And, it's brought us really close together as a family. It's really cool.
Yeah. And that's such a good point that you bring up, is like giving each other leeway as parents, because it's really easy to get caught up in like really tiny disagreements, and the perspective of just being like, wait, we haven't done this before. Like, am I going to get mad about this? I have no idea. And neither do you. So let's just try one, I guess. And you figure out how to approach a problem with a solution or like a plan or something. And it's like, it takes a lot of the stress out. I find just to remember that neither one of you is a pro.
Like, well, and the other thing is to just take a step back and laugh.
Yeah,
because being a parent is hilarious.
It is, dude. Like spit up, being peed on does not bother me at all. And I think before Sam, I would have read into the fact that I had someone else's saliva or bodily fluids on me, and I would have been like, that seems rude. But now that he's here, it's totally different.
It's just a part of life.
It really is, yeah. But yeah, that's cool. The thing I'm most looking forward to, at least since they're both kind of born in this period of lockdown, is like Sam and Grayson as cousins getting to spend a whole lot more time together.
Oh
And
my gosh, yeah.
I can't wait until that's possible. Um, because I guess for anybody listening, like we live like not even a 15-minute drive apart from one another.
Right.
So by all means, our kids should be together like almost every day. It's like, because you work from home, I work from home. Michelle's not working right now, and Nicole's not working right now. Like it would be like the perfect thing to be able to do, and it's just because of the COVID thing that we can't.
But when we can, it's gonna be
Oh,
awesome.
it's gonna be the lick, because I'm gonna plug your backyard oasis blogs, because yeah, that's gonna be a real fun backyard for two kids to like roll around and hang out in and stuff. It's gonna be
I
fun.
also have the projector set up so that we can have like movies in the backyard.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. And your backyard too. Like you guys really transformed. I love the picture that Michelle posted today of
Yeah,
her and Sam in the garden. That was the coolest thing. Or I guess it
yeah.
was the flowers. It was neat.
She's been taking him outside a lot, just because when well, because he needs to get out more, because he's just inside all the time because of COVID, but also because when he was born, I mean, a lot of babies have jaundice. He had jaundice, but it wasn't severe. So the doctors told us to just keep him in the sun and keep an eye on how much he poops. And ever since then, we're just like, oh, we should take Sam for a walk in the garden, and he just kind of hangs out and smacks flowers and stuff, and gets his vitamin D for the day.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it helps that he's insanely pale, because Sean and I are too. So
Well, we still don't know what Grayson's going to do, if he's going to be, my skin color or more shade of Nicole's. I don't know.
right, yeah,
We don't
it's
know.
because I didn't realize how much, by the way, baby characteristics changed as they grew up. Like hair changes, eye color changes, um,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
skin tone changes. Like it's nuts. Um, but yeah, especially right after they're born, because I remember distinctly the first view that I had of my son when he was born was how swollen his face was, and he looks nothing like he did in that photo. I still have the photo, which I'm glad, but
Well, and I think it's hilarious. I know that Grayson looks a lot like me,
mhm.
and Nicole says that he looks like me, and it's just me. But I know that he looks like Nicole, and here's how I know is that when you sent the photo of Sam side by side with Grayson,
Mhm.
it's scary. They look very similar at
Yeah,
that young age. They definitely have, Nicole and Michelle in them. Like,
yeah, and that was it's funny you say that, because that's exactly what made Michelle finally say like, oh, I guess Sam does kind of look like me, because we had the same thing where she was like, he looks so much like you and nothing like me. And then putting Sam and Grayson's photos side by side, you're like, oh snap, they could actually be brothers. Like, so yeah, there's definitely some Morrison uh, playing a role in both of them for sure.
right on, man. Well,
Yeah,
hey, I don't want to cut things short, but I feel like I should probably get back in the action here.
that's true. Yeah, you got dad duties. Um,
So this
but
is
yeah,
awesome, though. We need to
this
do
was
this way
yeah.
more, like
We
way
we
more often.
I agree, and yeah,
And we
thanks,
got to get Gentry in here too.
Gentry. Yeah, um, yeah, this would be a good way to make an excuse to have a couple of drinks on a Zoom call and then post it as a podcast.
Right on.
Yeah, but thanks for everybody who's listening. That's, I guess, I don't know if we had a point. That's just kind of vaguely what it's like to be a new dad during the coronavirus thing. But
Right.
yeah, but yeah, anything you want to plug before we hop off? I guess.
Just give us a shout out. Let us know how you're doing, and we'll try to update you as we get through this together.
Yeah, and if you're also a new parent who just became a new parent during COVID, I mean, reach out to us, because I would love to hear your story too. Because I don't think there's a normal story out there anymore for even if everything goes 100% according to plan, something has to be different than it was before the COVID crisis. So, um, but yeah, reach out to us. I'm
Right
always
on.
eager to hear that. Gentsoflancaster@gmail.com. Gentsoflancaster@gmail.com.
Right on.
Cool. All right. Hey man, it's been real. I will catch you later. Enjoy being a dad.
Sounds good. Thanks, brother.
See you everybody.